Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the spider stitch. Now the spider stitch has a bit of an issue where it does want to flare as you're working on it. So in this video I'm going to show you an alternative way of starting and ending the spider stitch just so you have nice straight edges on the top and the bottom. The pattern multiple for the spider stitch is an odd number. So all you need to do is chain an odd number until your project is the width that you want it to be. Now, before you start, the spider stitch is quite a dense, tight stitch. If you would like some lovely drape to your project, then I definitely advise going up a hook size or two larger than your yarn recommends. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and make a small sample today. So for my odd number, I'm going to go ahead and chain 15. So that's my 15 chains to start. Now row 1 is just a setup row. This ensures that your spider stitch has a nice straight bottom, and I'll also show you how to do a nice straight top, because you can work the spider stitch immediately into the chain, but I've found it tends to make the bottom chain bow and flare out a bit because there are a lot of stitches involved in the spider stitch. So for this setup row, we're going to work into the third chain from our hook. Now this loop on your hook doesn't count as anything. You only want to count the fully formed chains hanging down. So 1, 2, 3. And into this third chain from your hook, I'm going to place a single crochet. Then single crochet into each of the remaining chains left. Now make a note of how many single crochet stitches you create in this setup row, because you're going to need to remember that number for your very last row. So that's 1, and then just single crochet into each chain all the way along. So for my setup row, I started with 15 chains and I have 13 single crochets that I have created. For row 2 is the spider stitch. So to begin, chain 2 and turn your work. Now ignore this first single crochet where you just chained from, and we're going to work the spider stitch into the second stitch along. And into that next stitch here, we're going to place a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet back into that very same stitch. That little combination of single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, that's the spider stitch. Now a word of warning, it's quite tricky to find that chain 1 space on future rows. If you really struggle and you with just that one chain space, you can chain 2 in between your single crochets, and that won't affect the look of the spider stitch at all. You wouldn't even notice you've done it. So if you find you're quite a tight crocheter or you're still learning, it might make sense to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Skip a stitch, and we're going to work that same combination into the very next stitch. So skip 1, then into the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all into the same stitch. We're going to repeat this little combination along the row, skip a stitch, spider stitch in the next. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Skip a stitch, spider stitch. That little combination. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Once you reach the end of the row, you will have one single crochet remaining, and then you will also have the 2 chains that we skipped on the setup row. They're quite tricky to find, sort of in there. Find the little gap. That's where you skipped the first few chains to work this setup row. And into this very last space, we're going to work one single crochet to finish the row. Row 3 is the pattern repeat row. Now all this means is you're going to repeat row 3 over and over and over until your project is the length that you want it to be. Then I will show you the nice straight edging you can do as your very final row. So for row 3 and every row from this point on, chain 2 and turn. Now row 3 is what I think is the trickiest row. After row 3 and you go on to do subsequent rows, it becomes easier to spot where you have to put your spider stitches. Now the spider stitch is that combination of single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So you want to look to see the little legs. You'll have 2 legs here and 2 legs here. Those are your single crochet stitches from the row below. Here and here. You want to go into the chain 1 space in between them. So just put your hook in between, and then it is definitely worth rotating your work around to make sure that you're not splitting the legs of the stitches on the other side. So you're just coming out in between these 2 single crochets, and in that space work a spider stitch combination. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all into that same space. Then move over, find your next set of spider stitches, find the little legs, 2 and 2, pop your hook in between them, and just check that you're not splitting the legs on the other side. Now what I mean by splitting the legs on the other side is you can push your hook through and you can accidentally catch one of the legs of these stitches. That's what you want to avoid. So just make sure you're coming in between them and work the combination of single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. You're going to work the spider stitch combo into the chain 1 space in between all your spider stitch combos from the row below. So remember, spot the 2 little legs. So these 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4 little legs from your single crochets, put your hook in between them. Make sure you're not splitting the stitches on the other side, and pop your combo, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Work this along the row. Then when you reach the other side and you have run out of little spider stitches to work into from the row below, you'll be at the end with this chain 2 turning space. In that space, pop a single crochet to finish this row. From this point on, you're simply going to repeat that last row we just did, row 3. So I'll do a super quick recap for you. You're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Work a spider stitch into the chain 1 space of the spider stitches from the row below. Remember not to split the legs on the front or the back. And then when you finish your final spider stitch combo into the top of the last spider stitch in the row below, into this very end chain 2 space, work 1 single crochet. Repeat that for as long as you want your project to be, and then I will show you how you can straighten off the edge so you aren't left with these tiny little bumps along the ridge. So once your project is the length that you want it to be, you can of course leave it at this point. However, I find because of all these single crochets you're popping in, the work can have a tendency to flare out a little bit. So I like to do an ending row that matches the very first setup row, just so everything is brought back in and kept nice and square. So when you are ready to finish off for the very final row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now you need to remember how many single crochets you had in that setup row. Hopefully you've noted that down somewhere. I know that I have 13 single crochets. So I need 13 stitches across the top so that it mirrors the bottom. I'm going to place my very first single crochet of this row in between that last single crochet and my spider stitch combo from the row below. It's in between the spider stitch and the single crochet. Work 1 single crochet. Then into the chain 1 space of your spider stitch, work a slip stitch. Keep your slip stitches nice and loose. That's 1, 2. Now as you work your way along, work a single crochet in between your sets of spider stitches. And then slip stitch into the chain 1 space of your spider stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going along the row. Single crochet in between your sets of spider stitches, and then slip stitch into the chain 1 space of the spider stitch. Being careful not to split my stitches at the back. And then end with a single crochet into that chain 2 space. Double check your stitch count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 stitches across the top, giving a nice straight edge to mirror the 13 single crochets I created in the setup row. Once you have the correct amount of stitches, to finish off, chain 1, snip your yarn, leaving a length to weave in, pull that through, pull it tight, and you're done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope this spider stitch is a new one to you, and I hope you go on to use it in any future projects. Just remember, if you want this lovely drape to go up a hook size from what the yarn is recommending, otherwise you will have a very dense stitch. So until next time, happy crocheting. Bye!